Good afternoon.
We're
Yeah,
supposed to say good morning.
I was trying to leave work, but it ain't work out, so I just sat back down. Let me
Managed
sit
to get
back.
here, but I know a few.
Let me at least clean off this camera.
Oh, sorry, my YouTube is not muted. Okay. Sorry. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening. Do you think we can start?
Yes, we have Aisha. I text AJ to see if he can join. He hasn't responded yet, but he's the only other one on the committee right now. So sure.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. And thank you all for taking the time to join the Family and Community Engagement Committee of Hartford Public Schools. And calling the meeting to order, we are going to start with our monthly Welcome Center report. Is that going to be Ms. Fagan?
Yes, hi, good evening. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm
Yes.
sorry, I'm having a problem logging on otherwise. So for this month, we had a total of 454 intakes with 48 complaints, 27 concerns, and 379 requests. Our top reasons this month was homeless. We have been getting a lot of homeless families. We had 147 requests for new requests. Transportation, we had for 80 intakes with only one concern. We distributed 31 hygiene kits and 30 requests for clothing and 29 requests for school supplies. Our top 5 schools were, for elementary, we had Global being the top school, Parkville. Global had 35, Parkville 21, Dwight Belize 15, Sand 14, and Noah Webster 13. For the middle category, it was Milner with 23, Burr 15, Global 14, McDonough 13, and Sports and Medical Sciences Academy 7. For high schools, Hartford High with 54, Weaver 30, Buckley 24, Great Path 8, and University High 7. And in the other category, which is out of district schools, 61, and for new students, 55. So this month, in terms of McKinney-Vento, we identified 54 new students, 7 as a result of fires in the city. We did not receive any donations for the month of October, and in October, the Welcome Center started working in partnership with the United Way on their Dolly Parton Imagination Library Initiative. And so we're signing up Hartford kids and students under the age of 5 for a book of the month to be delivered directly to their home. And I think we started mid-October and we have already had 17 registrations completed through the Welcome Center. And that's my report, unless we have questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions at this time about the report? With that said, I do have one. Previously, when we received this reports, we got like a kind of a, not sort of like a breakdown of the like major concerns, so we could get like a feel of what the themes were. We haven't seen this report in so long. I feel like we We haven't talked about it publicly in this committee meeting, rather.
Okay, so this is what we have presented. I know, last year we provided you a graph, but you have never really requested a breakdown of all the concerns and so forth. Let me see
Not all of the, it wasn't all of the concerns. It used to be like to categorize, like if it was like a theme of something like,
Oh, okay, I got you.
yeah,
I
like
see what
that,
you're
that breakdown is what I'm
saying. Okay,
referring to.
I got, yes, I got you.
So if we could bring that back, it would be helpful,
Yes,
so we could
I will.
talk about it and say, yeah, just that, not every single one that came in and this was that. It was like
Right.
more of the themes of, okay, this seems
Right.
like to be a trend.
Right, okay, I got you. Yeah,
Okay, but thank you for the report, Ms. Fagan.
you're welcome.
Okay, so next, if there are no questions, we have the School Governance Council's update.
Right. Hi, good evening, everybody. So to start, I want to apologize for my dog. And then go over the last year versus this year graph. So for this year, we are ramping up. We have a 95% of our schools have either a partially or fully seated SGC. At this time last year, we had 61% of our schools with just a partially seated SGC and no schools with a fully seated SGC. Our data is showing, or data is showing an increase in two areas. So we have seen an increase in data collection and in membership participation. I do want to give a huge shout out to our schools, our principals, our FCSSPs are getting out there, are doing the work, are getting our membership going. Christina, we can go to the next one. Thank you. And then, so this one is just to show briefly where I'm coming from, where I say data collection has increased and membership, right? So at this time last year, the only data that we had was that we had 30 parents, 23 teachers, and 9 community leaders. That was what we had collected, right? At this time last year. For this year, we have collected so much more. And we have, I'm happy to say that we have 238 parents, 174 teachers, and 63 community leaders. We are not where we would love to be, but we are definitely on a great path. So that's what we have so far for our SGC overview. We only have 2 schools that have not submitted. And then these schools I am in close communication with. So we are getting that going, hoping that by the end of the month, we have an SGC at each of those schools. And then now I believe Chief Blackburg would like to go over the budget season coming up.
No, I think
Oh,
that's
not
the
yet?
next item, which is OFCP events. So
Right.
I'll yield that back to Madam
Okay.
Chair.
So we have our timeline, our first quarter, all of our events that we had planned to do. We went
I'm
over.
sorry to interrupt you, Viviana, but just school governance councils was its own separate item. So I don't know if Madam Chair has questions or anyone else. So before you go
Apologize,
to
yes.
1.3, just want to give space for any questions related to the SGCs.
So are there any questions in regards to the SGC, the School Governance Council's update? Hearing.
I don't have any at this time. Thank you so much.
Okay. So we can go to 1.03. So I didn't, the slide, it says OFCP.
Mhm.
I didn't, that acronym stands for
Office of
OFCP
Community
event.
Partnerships.
Okay, events.
Yes. Yes, and we love acronyms, right, Chief Blackburn?
I'm trying.
We do. So our first quarter ended, all of the events that we planned, so we were able to actually go ahead and have them. We had our first advisory council meeting. We had our SDC kickoff. That was great. All of our schools, along with the district, we held a meeting or a workshop about ACE. So we did hold one, and all of our schools held one as well. ACE stands for Attendance, Culture, and Climate and Engagement. So that was our last, our first family session, and then our last of the first quarter. We can go to the next one. We are going into, we're headed into the second quarter. We had our SGC training on roles, responsibilities. I apologize, I should have changed that. It was roles, responsibilities, and principal hiring process. I will make sure that that's the correct term next time. Our SGC training and community forum on budget is coming up next Monday. We have our family learning session on STEM. December, we have our family learning session on English language arts, and then our Welcome Center, Leslie is holding a McKinney-Vento session on December 15th. So far, this is what we have planned for the third quarter. Family learning session on math, McKinney-Vento. We have SGC training on family engagement. They did mention this on our RSVPs. A lot of them mentioned that they would like to learn about family engagement. And then we have another family learning session on March.
Thank you. Are there any questions about the events and timeline?
And just, Madam Chair,
Yes.
if I could just go back to November 8th, just wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about the upcoming SGC training and the budget process for our SGCs. And so just specifically wanted to voice over that starting on November 8th, there will be that presentation of the budget process, the budget overview to our SGCs. And then, of course, following our SGC policy, SGCs have an opportunity to discuss the budget with their principals and the SGC, the larger SGC, between November 8th and December 6th. And then on December 6th, we would be looking for that initial SGC budget sign-off, that form that would go to the SGC chair and principal would sign that form. And then, of course, there will be additional discussion with the principal, other school leaders, central office leaders. A second discussion with the SGCs would be taking place between December 14th and December 17th. And then we would be looking for the final budget sign-off from our SGCs on December 17th. Understanding that, yes, the budget process has been moved up earlier this year just to accommodate ample time to go through the budget, and also ensuring that we have an opportunity to just begin hiring earlier. And I'm sure you'll hear more about that in the Finance Committee or in a board workshop, but just wanted to voice that over, that we specifically called out those dates in our budget timeline for our SGCs. They will also receive that on Monday, so they know exactly where they are in the budget process. And Viviana, of course, will help to facilitate that with our SGC chairs and our principals.
Question, thank you for that. The reports that I see in board docs, are these reports available to the general public, Ms. Santiago?
Yes, it is saved in board docs in under the public section, so anyone can, when I have the agendas and everything online with all these attachments, so yes, they can see this. They have access.
Thank you very much. Okay, if there are no questions, we could move on to the family engagement events calendar.
email. I think it's really kind of, Selena needs to.
That's not what we just did, right? No.
No.
Okay, that was just the events
Thank
timeline.
you. No, that's our timeline. That's what pertains particularly to our department, but we do like to have a family engagement events calendar. This is shared with the superintendent's office and our communications department. We are constantly on it. We are making changes as we go. As you can see, the grayed out areas are the events that happened. We also added Effective School Solutions. They are in partnership with Jen Hoffman, from Pupil Services, and they are holding parent workshops or parent groups. And we decided to add them on as well, just so we have that in mind that these events are also happening. We have here every single event that we're planning to have, how it's going to happen. Does it need interpretation? Most of them we do, right? ESS does their own interpretation, but we want to make sure that all of these little details are taken care of. Communications adds on whether they are providing a flyer, Zoom hosting, etc. And then we have the status of the event. We like to share this with those three departments, so that way superintendent is aware of what's going on, and communications and myself, we work a lot on invites. Who are we talking to? Who are we sharing these events with? And then the last page of this 8-page report is the advisory council meetings. They are, we had our first meeting back in August, and we are coming up to our second meeting with them. It's the next page. Thank you. Oh, nope. Thank you. Our next meeting will be December 16th. We are gathering, right? We call these zone leaders. We are emailing our zone leaders, and we are making sure that they are out there, right? Doing all this amazing work that they were already doing, right? And we're preparing a little report just to make sure that when we do meet with the superintendent, we go over right their most important concerns and also their celebrations. I had one of my moms tell me today that she is not focused on making a complaint list, and I thought that that was amazing. She wants to bring all the good news and all these celebrations to the table for the superintendent on December 16th. And that's what I have.
Can we go back to the previous slide?
Yes, ma'am. This one or?
No, that was, sorry. If you guys can see what I'm trying to do. I was like, so yes, so that was the slide. Thank you very much. And thank you, Viviana, for that.
You're very welcome, Madam Chair.
So now we're moving, right? This meeting is moving tonight.
I just have a quick question, if that's okay.
Go right ahead.
It's really a quick question. I love to hear that, the shift in not bringing, and I'm paraphrasing the words, a negative report, and kind of highlighting some of the great things that are happening. Is this a part when when is the report shared? Is where my question was, sorry.
No, it's okay. So we will share with her on December 16th, and then we will do another one for April. So it will be a lot, right, of information. But we just want to make sure that our zone leaders have the time, because they're not just talking about their school that they're representing, right? So we just want to make sure. But on December 16th, this will be shared on our meeting with the superintendent.
Awesome, thank you. I would love, I'm not sure if it comes here, but I would just love to hear, it doesn't have to be the full-fledged dissertation of what happened, but I just would love to hear some of those good positive things that are happening. We all need to hear that a little bit more.
Awesome, thank you. Yes, I'll definitely share on our January meeting.
Madam
Yeah.
Chair?
Yes.
And yes, thank you, Chairwoman Clark. Yes, definitely during the FCE committee meeting, we would love to share those themes that come from the FCAC advisory group. So we'll note that, Viviana, for the January meeting, just to share those themes. The first meeting was more informational, and we also brought that information back to the last, or maybe it was 2 meetings ago from that first meeting. So definitely we'll share those themes. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I get an invite to that meeting? I don't know who arranges that. The meeting, the 2 meetings that was referenced, that the zone leaders meet with the superintendent. I would like a invite to that meeting if possible.
Right, okay, I am the one that is handling all that, so I'll get that to you.
I appreciate it. So thank you so much. And we can move right along to the Title I funds update.
Hi, everyone. Is there a slide for, or do I have permission to share my screen?
Yes, I'll stop sharing because I haven't received anything for this. So hold
Okay.
on 1 second. Okay, go ahead.
All right, thank you. All right, so I just put together a few slides just for the Title I information that I'll be sharing tonight. We did have a few new FCSSPs to the district. So part of our professional learning in October was centered around Title I funds. So all of our professional learning activities are all centered around the DME, of course, with focus on priority 3, engaging family and community partnerships. So the language is there. I'll just read the top one: extend student learning opportunities through partnerships between school, home, and the community through engaged family and community partnerships. And so a little bit of background, this is what we've also shared in professional learning, just for a common understanding. The background of Title I funds, which it originated as the Title I of Elementary and Secondary Act of 1965, Part A of the No Child Left Behind, just expressing to FCSSPs that it is an entitlement grant that provides federal funding to schools that have low poverty levels. So we do go into the background of Title I, and then we also share the purpose of it, which is meant to address the training development needs of parents and enable them to be active participants in the education of their children. We also go into more details on the focus and what Title I funds should not be used for. And so actually, it says it at the bottom there. Hold up 1 second. Should not be used for PTO related activities or parental incentives. So again, we do help with planning, coming up with ideas, also being very intentional with expressing the need for parent voice as Title I funds are spent in each school building. So with the professional learning that we do with the FCSSPs requires parent voice. So that's by way of research, by way of surveys, also with them understanding the process and flow of using Title I funds, and also the restrictions. As previously mentioned, PTO meetings, entertainment, social activities, et cetera, cannot be used. However, it is to help parents with student learning thereafter, during, and after school. So some of the examples of parent activities, I just wanted to list a few. This is not an exhaustive, like all the things that it can be used for, but just some of our frequent and top workshops or events that have been facilitated in the past. Literacy, numeracy, FAFSA, so filling out college applications, nutrition, health, and technology are some examples. And in particular for our professional learning in October, again, being intentional with sharing what or how they should capture the voice of our parents, identifying a planning team, and submitting the necessary paperwork for approval, because there is a process and flow with using Title I funds. Marketing the events and activities accordingly, so it's not a day before or 2 days before, but it's well in advance planning time. Providing resources and handouts to families, again, whether it's a workshop or some type of event, but having supplemental materials is also an example of how Title I funds can be allocated or spent, I'm sorry. And then we do plan with FCSSPs collectively and also during our one-to-one meetings with them. So it is a continuous conversation. Schools already know, or FCSSPs already know what amount is allocated per school building, so that we could start planning in advance, so that we're not, waiting until the last minute or towards the deadline of when, all funding has to be expended. And so that is it for Title I.
Are there any questions?
And I do apologize for the noise in the background.
Okay. And thank you for the for that presentation. Are there any questions? Okay, so my question is my first question. So if they arrange a PTO meeting in which they are going to do an educational activity, because I know in the presentation it said no, it cannot be used on PTO meetings. But can it be used if the PTO meeting fits? If we're going over how to help your child with reading, if that's our scheduled PTO meeting, can't that be, the Title I funds be used for that meeting?
So if there's an activity, like intentional, so just having a PTO meeting, no. But if it's a planned activity or workshop, or it meets certain criteria, it does still need to be approved through finance with an agenda, any other supplemental information, if there's resources that need to be ordered. So let's say there's a meeting, it's on literacy, and then there's additional books of some sort that needs to be purchased. So in that case, it will go through the process with finance and then be approved. But yes, that is an acceptable expense. However, if it's just for PTO, then no.
No, I said not just PTO. It could be a PTO scheduled meeting, but at that meeting, we're inviting parents on the agenda is that we're going to be going over literacy and how you can help your child at home and how to support as far, yes.
As long as that is a component to the meeting.
Okay, so something else that was previously a part of these meetings, I thought that was going to be tonight, is the list of the schools, all of our schools, how much money they get in the Title I allotted for parental activities, and how much they have spent, encumbered. It was a previous report that we used to get at this meeting, and I'm asking if we could return that to this meeting. So it helps us month to month track where each school is, because there was concerns like a school, you have thousands of dollars, you haven't encumbered it, you haven't spent any money, but we know it's a school where we have maybe only a very small portion of our students proficient in, say, math. So you're not engaging parents around anything to do with math when we know it's a concern or something in the school. So that report that we had, that we tracked from month to month, what was spent, what wasn't, and it was per school.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Christina, Madam Chair, Christina, if you have a copy of that report that Chair Brody is referring to, if you could send that. I do know Ms. Mitchell Davis, along with each of the cohort leaders, that's a part of each meeting that they have, is to look at the allocation, make sure it's being spent. But if you have a copy of that report, you could share it with us. And then I guess we could team to figure out what that would look like. That'd be great.
Yeah, somehow it fell off of the reporting in this committee.
I could probably show an old one, but I believe finance provides that. Like I don't.
Because I guess that's I wasn't, but if you have it, I mean, I'm not really sure. But yeah, if you can look for that, Christina, I guess, and share that with us to figure out what that.
So is that something that finance provides to you or no, or to your office, or is it supposed to be? That I guess I'm a little confused there.
No, Madam Chair is saying that there's a report that came through this committee that spoke to that. I'm asking if you have a copy of that, if you can share that with us so we can then.
Oh, got you.
You're asking her to provide an old report so you can see what it looks like?
Correct, because I don't recall that piece, but that's okay. You know, we can make that work, but I would love to see what that looks like. But just wanted to also add that, yes, each month we are looking and working with each of the schools to make sure that they are spending those dollars and going from there. Okay. Thank you, Christina.
Sure, no problem.
Are there any last concerns, comments, questions, and anything before we adjourn?
Yes, Madam Chair, quickly. I just like when we have the committee meetings, anything, you know, in your travels, talking with families, and also want to say congratulations. I know that Election Day was this past Tuesday, so congratulations to you on being reelected.
Hey, congratulations, Ms. Brody.
You are welcome.
Thank you.
Also wanted to find out, is there anything that you have for us as an Office of Family and Community Partnerships that you want to share with us related to schools, celebrations, concerns, anything that we should put on our horizons? We shared today the OFCP events as well as the calendar. Just wondering, thoughts, is there anything you have for us?
Just a quick question, and I'm asking this question, and please don't ask me details about it. And I'm putting the caveat in place. Are parents still allowed or not allowed to be in the school? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm driving, so if you are like talking, I can't hear you. I can't see you if you were shaking.
No, I'm gonna ask you if you could repeat that.
I'm sorry.
I had some background noise, so I didn't hear.
So I was asking, are parents or caregivers, I'm not using the word parents, but are caregivers allowed to go into the schools or not?
Did we straighten that out? Because remember,
correct. Sorry.
Thank
you, Ms. Brody, for that clarity. Yeah. Did we straighten the understanding of that out?
Okay, because I was going to ask, I was like, Madam Chair, should I answer? But you said you already took care of that.
I hadn't tried to go in since we've had the meeting. And I know that I don't think it was consistent through all schools, but I know at Annie Fisher it was. So
yeah,
I saw an email or something, right, Ms. Santiago, that was straightened out.
I was gonna say that, yes, I do remember this from last the last meeting or 2 meetings ago, and I was working with Chief Avila, and I believe that we kind of isolated to Annie Fisher. I don't believe it's happening anywhere else. So, but I can follow up.
Yeah, I will share.
So if I could add, oh, sorry, Madam Chair.
Through you, Madam Chair, if I may add that it might have been stated, and I guess I need to understand, what does a parent coming in mean? And again, I'm not doing this because I want to make sure that we're being effective and keeping our kids safe, our parents, our school safe, all of that stuff. So I understand it, but I don't know, what does parent coming in mean to some of the SOPs at Annie Fisher. So if you're picking up your child, do you come in the building or do you stand outside of the building? Does that constitute coming in or not coming in? I think there just needs to be some clarity on that, because there has still been some parents, and it's not the fact that they're not allowing the parents to come in, it's still meeting them at the door, and parents are signing their kids out at the door. They're not actually going inside of the building.
Okay.
So
I
just wanted
think
to
the
share that with
dismissal
you.
I think the dismissal process might be different than the just, I'm coming, is the middle of the day. I think it's a dismissal process that's
Well,
totally
it was in the
different
middle of
from-
the, yeah, and that's where I'm like, just a clarity. And again, I don't want to, this is not to get anyone in trouble or any of that nature. It's more or less just understanding the process so I can share with parents, because it was in the middle of the day. It wasn't like a parent pickup time. It wasn't that way, because that part makes sense to me. It was a parent dropping off a kid, and it was like meet them at the door, and then it was another parent who was picking up a kid, and it was meeting at the door. And so before, you still would go inside of the building, you would stand in the hallway, you might not have walked down to the classroom, but you were able to still get in the building. And so I just wanted to again, it's not a big thing. You all can hit me up offline if anything, but just understanding, what does it mean when we say parents are or caregivers are allowed to come in? Just so no one can feel like, hey, they said I can come in, but then they experience something like that.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
So thank you for raising that, Chairwoman Clark. From our perspective, especially Office of Family and Community Partnerships in collaboration with the Chief of Schools, we might need to actually put something together so it's crystal clear for parents. I do agree with Chairwoman Brody that arrival and dismissal would look and feel a little bit different because kids are coming into the building, buses.
Absolutely.
But if I am coming to a school to pick up, say I have to pick up my child in the middle of the day to go to a doctor's appointment, that is going to look different because it's not dismissal, it's not arrival. Because we are saying to families, and I know that the schools has rejoined the call, we are saying to families that yes, you can go into the schools. We have community partners in our building. We have volunteers. Many of them are parents that are coming into our building. They check in at the desk with the SSO, get their badge to say they're a volunteer, and they keep moving to their designated location. But what you raised is, one, we don't want parents feeling like they're trying to be kept out of the school and they have to do something at the door. And I do know that the Chief of Schools did address it, but I know she rejoined the call because I asked her if she could just, come back on really quick to address this one piece. So Chief Avila, I don't know if you wanted to add anything to that, but parents are allowed in the building because we are inviting parents to come back in the building to volunteer, pick up a student. They might have an appointment with the teacher or something like that. So Chief Avila.
Good evening, everyone. I believe that Chief Blackburg really summarized it wonderfully. We do want parents in our buildings. And yes, there is a procedure when they come in to check in through Raptor and then proceed to the office, but parents are allowed in our buildings. So whatever we need to do to make that clear, possibly adding something to the next memo that goes out from the superintendent, or I'll work with Chief Blackburg to if a separate memo needs to go out that we can share on Parent Square or other ways through SGCs, but we will make it absolutely clear that parents are welcome in all of our buildings.
Thank you so much. Through you, Madam Chair. Thank you so much. And again, it's just more or less the consistency, because we want to start creating an environment where parents and caregivers are feeling invited. And again, I completely understand the circumstances that we're in. And so I just wanted to get clarity on that. So I appreciate both of you all explanation. So that was it, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, if I could add something.
Go ahead, sure.
Okay, so we do have guidelines once everyone is in school. So we are still under certain guidelines because of COVID, but that still means that parents are still allowed at school. I just wanted to add that we still have distance and we try to maintain distancing with, especially among adults. And we do have strategic operating plans for each of our schools. But that does not inhibit anyone from coming into our schools.
Thank you. I had two Annie Fisher students. I have two Annie Fisher students behind me. I'm like, they let parents walk in, so right live, right? So the students are under the impression that parents aren't coming down no hallways. And I know, think about it. Annie Fisher doesn't have a partner in that sense that parents are going to like meet with the village or Catholic Charities. It's like, are you dropping off lunch, or, you have a concern? I have not tried to go in as of recent, but Ms. Clark is saying that it's still an issue. I should try to go in, but it is not that type of school that parents are there for, other than a business that you're handling about your student. You're not there for any other reason, but still concerning, right? And I haven't tried,
Yeah, and
to
it
go
wasn't,
in, but
and from again, one was my observation, to be quite frank, and then another one was a conversation. It wasn't rude. Everyone was pleasant. So I just want to make sure, Chief Avila, for you and the team, it's everyone is pleasant. Everyone's doing what they're supposed to do. I just wanted, and Ms. Brody is correct. That school is one of those schools where parents are normally just dropping off, picking up. And if you're dropping off, even if you're a parent, a classroom parent, you're typically dropping off items for that particular classroom or something like that. So it's not a lot of traffic in that particular school. But it is a school where we're having parents come from many different, well, let me not say that, across the district. It's the same way. But I only can speak for Annie Fisher because that's where mine are. You're having parents from all over the state that are coming. And so I just want to make sure that we're being consistent as it relates to like being able to say, yep, they have access. We just don't want that narrative that we're blocking our family. So I don't want to belabor it, but yes, Ms. Brody, it was something that I did witness.
Yeah, and they are polite. They're not saying you can't come in. They're very polite, but it just appears like they're following a protocol that they were told to follow. And I know, at least on the Montessori side, if I had, prior to the pandemic, if I go to the school, I get a name tag and I'm free to go. I can go to the class. There's no like restriction for me to go and be a part of the school community, but it is clear that there was a protocol that the individuals are following, and they're not making it up like on their own. But I don't mind going and trying to get in and see if that's a fact or not. But they all the interaction is still pleasant and professional, but it is like they're following a protocol. But so I'm glad that we're saying that it's isolated though.
Madam Chair.
Go ahead.
And thank you, both you, Chairwoman Brody and Clark, for raising it, and Chief Avila. So just wanted to, for those folks who are watching on YouTube, of course, we have a school that shares an FCSSP, Montessori, and STEM. And so just want parents to know that, yes, you have an appointment with the FCSSP, because I know they don't have an agency, but I know the first week of school, I was assigned to AF STEM and Montessori. And so I had to serve as SSO. They were having a meeting with the SSOs on arrival and dismissal. And yeah, we let parents in. They went through the RAPTR process. And so that, as Chief Avila shared, that is the process, that is the expectation, is that that's how you're going to respond to a parent that is coming to the building, is that you're going to go through RAPTR. Are you going to the office? Are you going to see the FCSSP? So it does sound, Chief Avila, like it's about arrival, dismissal, or when a parent says, I'm here to pick up a child versus something else. So thank you for that.
And I think you are, sorry, Madam Chair.
Go ahead.
Chief Blackburg, I think you're absolutely correct, because I think it's about when you're just saying, hey, I'm here to pick up a child, or hey, I'm here to drop off a child. it's like, okay, you don't really need to come in. So here, sign off and you can keep it moving. So it might just be that. And that's why I was just asking a question. It wasn't, I don't know if it needs to be this big thing. I was just asking like how, if it was something different. So I think you are absolutely correct in that observation.
And
I
thank you.
was so,
Thank you
I
for
was
lifting it.
dropping off lunch though. My 2 encounters, I was just bringing lunch. And that is the same, but maybe they feel, well, no, I did ask, like, I can't come in. But I'm feeling like I'm inconveniencing a security officer to bring the lunch and telling the class, I'm thinking you have something to do. So I'm signing in, I'm gonna get a name tag and I'm gonna go and, bring it to the class or however. But hopefully this is has been resolved, and I'm hopeful that this is not the case in November. But that I didn't have anything else on it. Does anyone? Oh, you asked me a question, Chief Blackburg. The only thing that does come to mind is that when we're having these engagement opportunities with families, that we are, for the most part, which you probably are, tracking how many are people that are engaged. Because I did log in and got part of one of the last sessions to help us understand if the engagement is lower, what could we possibly do different to get more parents interested in the topics for them to actually take part in our learning sessions. But as far as anything that I'm hearing from parents, I'm hearing more from staff than parents, and that's not, that place is not in this committee, of course. But I think things are at a point now that we might be, it's not like the first of the school starting and we're in these new and we're back opened up 100% and that sort of thing. So I think we'll start to probably hear more now that we're getting back to a somewhat normal experience in our schools. So hopefully with that said, parents would then start expressing, their experiences more. But I haven't heard a whole lot. Anything that's alarming that I would, bring, nothing that's alarming that I would bring to anyone's attention.
Okay. Thank you. Just hoping, each time we meet, we just have space kind of just to share, because I know things do come up and vice versa. We'll share what we're hearing. Okay, thank you.
And thank
you. I was just going to say, this is actually a good thing. I think anything we talk about is a good thing, whether it's good or bad, it's meaningful. Chief Blackburg, can you just share for individuals who want to partner with the district, what is the protocol? I just want to make sure I believe I know about what.
Did she just go out? Ms. Clark, I don't think we, could everyone, is it me that you can't hear or?
No, she froze for me too.
Okay.
Yes,
Sorry,
me too.
can you guys hear me?
No, we can hear you now.
I'm moving, I promise. No, I was just saying, Chief Blackburg, if you can just share, there have been some community members who would like to potentially partner with the district. And I want to make sure that I'm giving them the right information on how to do that. And so I've been saying that they have to go to the website and look at the, it's like a how-to thing, but I want to just make sure if you could just share with me quickly, like the actual steps of what they can do. And again, I know that not everyone will be right fit for the district and all of that stuff, but I just wanted to make sure that I asked that question when you said, or what are some of the things that we're hearing?
Thank you, Chairwoman Clark. So yes, we love, that's like what we love, the team. That's what we live for is for folks to want to partner with the district. We are always happy and excited about that. So just quickly, really the steps are they can reach out directly via email. I do know as board members, lots of people come and ask questions. I do want to shout out Pastor AJ. I know someone reached out to him recently about partnering with the district, and I think he sent it to Christina and then they sent it to us, and that's great. But also want to let partners know that this says MOU request, and I know as a team we're talking about, well, should we change that? Because not every partner is going to need an MOU, and maybe it should just be a partner request form. So that's something we're talking about internally, so folks don't think that immediately I need an MOU. So they can begin by filling out this form here and also reaching out via outreach@hartfordschools.org. And from there, the next step would be they can have a really short meeting with Michelle Sinkowitz, our community partnerships manager, and Tiffany Walton, our community partnerships coordinator. And during those meetings, really just learning about the request, what is it that you want to do with the district or with the school. And then the team really does assist the partner with really finding the right fit and the right place for them to plug in. And then we do have some partners who, like I have a longstanding history with Parkville School, and we want to formalize that request, and they fill out the MOU request, go through the process of having that MOU, and that's really what we ask partners to do. And that was really, really high level, but what I can do is share with Christina the actual step process. We have a flow chart that we use that we also share with principals. I can ask her to share that with the board members. So you have that in the event you are receiving those questions from folks in the community.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
You're very welcome.
And I wanted to say thank you to Mr. Johnson for joining us. We had a pretty straightforward meeting with the Welcome Center report. We had a School Governance Council update. We've seen the event timeline for the Office of Community Partnerships, if I hope I got that right. And we had a we also reviewed the family engagement events calendar and a Title I funds update. It was each, we didn't, Christina, I'm assuming we could, because there was some presentations given, and I saw Ms. Santiago did mention in the chat for those to be provided. And if you could provide those to us, that would be great. Because there was a couple presentations, but they weren't in board docs. So I'm assuming we'll get those sent to us.
Just the Title Fund was missing, that's all.
Okay, thank you, Christina, because that was gonna be my question. Like, well, which ones are missing? I know Title I, but the events.
That was the only one. The rest should be in board docs.
Okay.
Because I'm thinking, okay, because the events, it wasn't under events, it was under the School Governance Council update.
Yes, well, Ms. Alvarado was everything back to back.
Yeah, I see that now. And I don't know if you were on the phone yet, Mr. Johnson, but what I asked for is the Title I funds update. That's the funds that are designated for parental involvement activities. In this particular committee previously, there was like a running list of the schools, how much funds was allocated per school, how much was spent. So each month we went and we talked about, like, because you would be worried if a quarter of the school is barely proficient in reading and you're not spending the funds on any type of events to support parents, to support their kids, but maybe they could say we provided free events, so that's why we didn't use the money. But we just were able to engage in those conversations, not trying to understand if these are funds that are going to go back, if not spent, why aren't we spending them to benefit families in the school? So I asked for that report to return to this committee. And that was pretty much it. I didn't know if you had any questions before we close out, because we are ahead of time.
Look, I'm not gonna be that guy today, particularly the evening that we had last night. So I appreciate that, and I'll connect with you offline to hear those reports that were submitted.
Okay. So with all of that said, if hearts and minds are clear, we are going to adjourn the meeting. And I thank you all for your time, and I'm glad to give you a half an hour back. Because I'm sure I've taken a half an hour in the past.
Well,
So everyone,
Have a good one.
what I will say, to you, Ms. Brody, is that probably next week, I had committed to Chief Blackburg that I would come to the office and bring donuts and coffee. So sometime next week, you can expect a visit to the office, to the Welcome Center, with donuts and coffee for the staff. And if there's a particular day that you think that would be best,
Whenever I'm there.
the day Miss Santiago is
The day I'm
at
there.
the Welcome Center.
No doubt. But that will happen next week, just as an appreciation. I talked with again Chief Blackburg on just what I could do or what we could do just to show some that they're appreciated with all that they go through. And if it's just bringing donuts and coffee, by all means, that can happen. So next week, if you just give me a day that works for you, and we can do that. So that ain't no thing. That's it.
Thank you, Pastor AJ and team. That's for all of us. Like, he's doing it in the Welcome Center, but it's for the entire team. Yes. I like pumpkin donuts. Thanks. God bless.
And I'm gluten sensitive.
See, that's
Okay,
I
Miss
ain't even asked
Let it be known.
Let it be known.
Judith, I am happy to announce that I have joined your gluten sensitivity wagon. So
What?
now it's not just one. So now we have to think about the entire team because unfortunately, yes.
So do they actually do gluten-free donuts?
Not at Dunkin'.
Yeah, not a Dunkin', but they just have them.
Oh, so y'all bougie. Y'all want me to go to Whole
Yeah.
Foods. Okay. All right.
So it's going to be some specialty donuts, not at the Dunkin' Donut price.
Okay, I had a $25 budget for this, but apparently this budget has gotten expanded. Okay. All right,
And
we'll work it out.
And Madam Chair, love, we talk about engagement. A viewer who's watching the committee meeting was able to share with me the report that you were referring to from 2014. So I think I have an idea of what's needed. So I'll get right on that.
Viewer? Okay.
But that's what we want. We want viewers to be a part and engage. So thank you to that lovely parent. Much appreciated.
Okay, awesome. So with that said, we are going to adjourn for the evening, and please, everyone, enjoy your weekend.
Thank you so much. Have a great one, everyone.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Have a great evening.